Tonight on Cosmic Cantina, we're picking apart Tom DeLonge's brain. There seems to be an ever-escalating UFO narrative being thrust upon us, so why not discuss the beliefs from one of the main instigators? And damn, he has some wild things to say. Do we agree with his ideas or piss all over his stories? Find out on our next exciting adventure. I'm your host, Melissa Tittle, and every week I go to my favorite bar, Cosmic Cantina, and kick back with my co-hosts, Josh Golombeski and Matt O'Connor. We talk about aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, ancient cultures, and anything from the unseen world that needs a little illumination. Welcome to Cosmic Cantina. I'm your host, Melissa Tittle, and tonight we are drinking a rare find, because my dad actually brews his own beer, so he supplied us with all of his different flavors. I'm drinking.
Yeah, he did. He's got game.
He actually grows his own hops, and he's super into it. He blows up my mom's kitchen, but it's great. It's awesome. It's fun. It's a good retirement thing.
Nice.
I'm drinking almost Scotland stout because they were supposed to go to Scotland, but then COVID hit. And it's super chocolatey and yummy. Which one do you guys have?
Well, I have the English ale, the revolutionary English ale. It tastes English. It's really good. Usually I like an IPA, but this is nice. And I'm breaking my gluten-free beer rule just to taste, powerful Mr. Tittle's amazing beer skills. And I'm all in. I'm buying stock.
Man, what's that going to do to your lower intestines? Are you going to be shitting through the eye of a needle after this?
Something like that.
Let's not get personal. So I got the Bohemian Rhapsody, he called it, Old Man Tittle, and it's the Pilsner or the Lager Pilsner, one of those two, and it's good stuff. I could drink this all night, but man, I would be staggering after a couple of these. I think that's potent stuff.
Yeah, I like it. Mine's 6%, so I approve of that. I don't like to drink anything below 6%, so I'm in.
All right. Thanks, Dad.
I love you, Mr. Tittle.
Love your work.
I don't know what's happening.
I love you. All right, sorry. I got to get professional. I'm sorry. Okay, right. Tonight, we're going to talk about... We're not. We're sort of professional. Really. I think we're really drunk on my dad's beer. All right, we're going to get ourselves together.
Let's talk about aliens.
Let's talk about aliens, because that's what we're good at. All right, so we're gonna really dissect a Reddit post, actually. So this Reddit post says Tom DeLonge crazy claims and statements. It was posted approximately 11, 12 days ago, and you can check it out underneath UFOs and Reddit. And we really want to break this down because this collection of claims by Tom DeLonge was collected by this person, but it's based on several interviews going back almost 3 years ago and his book, Secret Machines, which is a novel, which also came out a couple of years ago. And this person just made a collection of the claims, and it was like, he's like, what is this guy's deal? I mean, the claims are pretty crazy. However, when I went through the list, I have a lot to say about it because a lot of the stuff I've heard before and from other sources, so we're going to kind of dissect it. And I think it's just something good to discuss since we're all discussing what disclosure might look like, and he's kind of on the forefront of it. So
let's just pause for a second and realize that Tom DeLonge is the CEO of TTSA, leading the civilian disclosure movement. And so he has people who work for the government who worked on real programs at ATIP and disclosed real UFO information to us. And this is what this guy believes, who runs this company. And what he believes is really, really out there. So prepare yourself.
All right. So buckle up. We're gonna get into this and we're gonna discuss it. I know that all of us have a different view of the things, but I think it's really interesting to see because we talk about this a lot on this program. Is this team? Are they trying to create more fear in us from a psychological level, or
yes,
or are they trying to inform us that there is something else going on and we need to be aware of it? And that's kind of where this conversation is going to go. So, all right, let's start from the beginning. This person's post kind of breaks things up into sections, and this one is called The Wider Reality. And this is just bullet points on kind of what Tom DeLonge believes. All right. The universe is teeming with intelligent life of all kinds. All right, great. Malevolent ETs are present on Earth and have been manipulating humanity for most of, if not all, of history. The advisors refer to them as the others. That's what he's calling them. They may not be aliens as we understand them and are linked to consciousness, or can master consciousness, which is the greater reality we haven't learned to tap into yet. They are parasitical. They feed on human conflict and negativity. They have inspired world religions for the purpose of dividing us. They have done so by posing as gods and providing religious messages from the heavens.
And this is exactly David Icke's theory. It just, replaced the others with reptilians. Go on.
Well, I think it's a lot of people's theory.
It's a lot of people's
like you said, it's
theories.
archons, it's the jinn, it's a lot of stuff we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just continue all of them, then we're going to go back. We're going to dissect these motherfuckers. They can also implant visions and ideas directly into our minds. Telepathy is real, and the universe is essentially what we might best term magical.
I like that.
I know, it's beautiful. Unicorns and stuff. The people in charge of the cover-up believe that the world religious scriptures are based on real events involving manipulation by the others for the purpose of creating competing belief systems to keep us divided and at war. The state of human society is fundamentally unnatural and a product of manipulation. Human civilization has risen and fallen in cycles that go way back than we currently accept. It's likely these cycles have been initiated by the ET visitors. Okay, so that is his wider reality claims. All right, this is a lot. So let's kind of start at the top. Let's start with the malevolent ETs are present and have been manipulating humanity for most of history. And they're called the others. Go.
Okay, well, I think before we get into this, let's kind of see a show of hands of who's on board with this and who's and who's in Josh's camp of like this is the worst thing I've ever read.
No, I have a very complex opinion on this. It's just like the Paul Benowitz situation. Some of it's real. It's all disinformation. It's all threat-based. It all fits an agenda. So some of it might be real. I think like that sentence we just read. You take out the first word. So just start with ETs are present on Earth and have been, probably manipulating humanity. And it's not all good, but doesn't mean it's all bad. And they phrase these sentences to be so like everything he's saying is threat and fear when the truth might be somewhere in between. But keep going.
So he goes on to say, I'm just kind of recapping what I just said, but he goes on to say they're parasitical and they feed on human conflict and negativity. I would say that there are groups, I don't know if they're called the others, quote unquote, as he calls them, but there are groups, and many people have talked about this. There are groups of people that do create conflict and do divide us using religious structures, using belief systems so that we are all separate. And that I don't think that's all aliens or ETs. It's just like saying all people are bad. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, it's just you can't say all aliens are bad, but there are some that I feel have been manipulating and feed on our fears and negativity. And the thing is, we aren't smart enough as a race, as a species, to actually understand that those emotions are not coming from us. They're being influenced.
We're not emotionally intelligent enough because, he does go into a whole lot of, consciousness, how important consciousness is related to this whole topic. But I, overall, when I not only read this, but I listened to a couple of interviews with him, and I guess I really hadn't heard or listened to Tom DeLonge talk about this stuff very much, or at all even. And the cynical part of me initially was just like, who's this rock star dum-dum who's talking about all this stuff? But actually, it really resonated a lot of what he was saying. I thought he was pretty eloquent in how he was talking about it. And I agree. I don't think that he's necessarily saying that all ET interactions are negative and that we need to be worried about every sort of contact with otherworldly beings. I think he's focusing specifically on the parts that are threat-based. And the whole parasitical, like the jinn, they feed off of negative emotions, they feed off war and conflict and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think I am more inclined to believe that than.
Well, here, check this out,
Yeah.
though. This is, okay, this case parallels what Richard Doty did to Paul Benowitz. So Paul Benowitz saw something crazy,
Right.
had a theory. He went to the government, and he went to Doty and was like, aliens, I'm seeing this light. This is crazy. And Doty leaned in and was like, tell me more. Maybe we can help each other. Maybe maybe I can use you to manipulate the UFO community. It's the same story. DeLonge made a phone call. He used his celebrity status. He even says this in one of the interviews.
Yes,
and made a phone call, and then suddenly was meeting people who are important, who make decisions. He was like, you'll never believe who they are. I'm not going to tell you. You'll never believe who they are. It's all, remember, this is all based on people he talked to that we don't get to know the names of. But
They're called advisors.
Right. The advisors.
Yeah.
I got advisors. I got advisors too, bro. So wait, where was I going with that? So he meets with these people, and he starts going like, "Hey, man, I got this theory. You remember like those indigenous people in World War II who like we landed one plane on their island, and after that they worshipped us forever? Like, what if it's the same thing? What if the aliens did that to us?" He starts going on like they could be bad, and they leaned in and they said, "Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Tom. And how can we use you to further our agenda?" And now Tom is running an organization with a bunch of people who are former intelligence officers working for a secret government program who control everything. I just can't get over that hump. And like, he seems passionate. I think he thinks he believes what he's saying. I'm just
I think that's true.
That it's the right information. That's what I like. I don't think he's dishonest or purposely. He could be like Paul Benowitz. Like, they're using him in a different way.
We don't know that he's not being led down the garden path on this as well. Like, he seems legit, genuine about everything he says, and again, like we don't know what he knows exactly. And maybe he has been on these like crazy meetings, like he talks about being in these military facilities, talking to these super smart people who were relating the UFO phenomena to human consciousness and how we sort of perceive the world, which was really cryptic as it was interesting. But we've also heard all this before, it's not.
This is not
new.
This is not new.
Right.
This is like since the beginning of humanity. People the jinn is an old concept, right? Like this darkness that manipulates humanity has been around since humanity started, whenever that was.
Right.
So
right. They're like Tom, you figured it out.
Yeah, this is not a new story. I love when people claim that this is like their story, but it's not a new story.
Right.
The fact that the fact that religions were created to divide us, that's not a new concept. I mean, I think it was around the 80s, there's a bunch of material that was published. It was from the 80s, but it was finally published online like in the late 90s or something, early 2000s, called The Hidden Hand. And The Hidden Hand is like another advisor, somebody from the government who can't like name himself. And it was basically talking about the same thing. There's this group of people that influence the elite to do negative things and create war and divide us and fear and religious structures. And so this is just not a new story. I just don't like, I don't know. It's not original is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, at least,
I also
well, I mean, most of this actually. Yeah, go on, Matt.
Yeah. Well, I kind of, as much as it resonated what he was saying with me. I do question his whole story about how he got into it and why him and all this stuff.
He's the chosen one, Matt. He's the chosen one. He has
there was a bit of like
I'm the chosen one. Yeah.
There was a bit of that sort of, I won't go as far as to say narcissism, but there was a little bit of ego in it where he was like, look, I rolled on up to the people and I told them my story and they were like, you know what? We like you. Let's get you on board this. What do you got for us? And he's like, all right, here's my plan. And they were like, I love your plan, Tom DeLonge. I love your plan and let's implement it. And I was like, wait, what?
This is such like a dude
now?
fest. This is such a dude fest. I like what you have to say. Okay, now you're an advisor. You're one of the advisors.
Now you're on board, big guy.
Do you remember when we talked about Tom DeLonge and like several other podcasts? And I was like, I met him and he was at a secret space program seminar, like up in like San Jose or something, like Northern California. And I was there because I was recruiting new people for a show that I was producing. And I met him and I just thought it was so odd that he was there. And this is like 2014, right? And I mean, he was just gathering information at this point. I mean, like, I love like one of our listeners